we go to the governor's race in the state of Florida. We have Democratic candidate Charlie Crist, and we have Republican candidate Ron DeSantis, who is the incumbent governor of the state. Now, let's take a look at them for a bit. Now, Charlie Crist, let me tell you what he's about, just a little bit of what he's about. He supports a ban on assault weapons, high-capacity magazines, bump stocks. He supported the initiative that the Clintons put through on the federal ban on assault weapons, which that expired in the early to mid 2000s. We kind of need to bring that back. He opposes arming teachers, which is something that a lot of Republicans seem to support. Not every single Republican. Not every Republican really spoke for or against it one way or the other, but there was definitely a number of them that came out and supported that. He's also a proponent of legalizing marijuana and expunging marijuana convictions. He voted for the MORE Act, M-O-R-E, which is Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act. That was a piece of legislation that was introduced by Democratic Congressman Jerry Nadler of New York, which seeks to legalize marijuana on the federal level and to expunge cannabis convictions. I think that's a really good move, and I think more Democrats actually need to talk about that. They especially need to really emphasize that to Biden and Harris, but I'll save that for a different video. He also supports same-sex marriage. He's an advocate of expanding Medicaid, especially to seniors, lower prescription drug costs. When he was in Congress, he voted to cap insulin at $10 a month. Now, another one that they should talk about more. One of his plans is to end homelessness, especially for veterans, and to lower property taxes. Let's go to his website right here and check out his policy on veterans. Lower the cost of living for veterans. As governor, Charlie will work to pass legislation that lowers property taxes for veterans. Charlie will fight to have the state pay property taxes for veterans who are 70% or more disabled, with a sliding scale down to 30%. And veteran homelessness, as I stated, as governor, he will work tirelessly to get every single veteran without a home into housing in Florida. He will bring together federal and state resources and work alongside nonprofits to find veterans in need of homes and veterans on housing waiting lists and work to quickly connect them to permanent and affordable housing. It sounds good so far. Now, let's check out some of his ideas on some of the other issues. One right here, they're like, black voters for Crist. As governor, Charlie will fight for our businesses, our neighborhoods, our rights, our children, and our health care. Our businesses, black-owned businesses. When black-owned businesses are successful, we all benefit. In Congress, Charlie defended fair lending and provided record funding for the Community Development Financial Institutions Fund. He fought the big banks that weren't giving PPP loans to smaller black-owned businesses. As governor, he will deliver fairness in state contracting by helping identify black-owned businesses that can deliver, increasing awareness of contracting opportunities and providing technical assistance to new applicants. Empowering black entrepreneurs not only create jobs and strengthens our economy, it enables black families to build the type of generational wealth previously denied due to Jim Crow, lender discrimination, and other systems of racism. State government should reflect Florida's diversity. Let's go to some of these other ones here. Just kind of giving the people what's going on here. Defending reproductive freedom. He stated that he's pro-choice. I know he kind of had a different position on that in the past, given his political positions, and obviously most people in the state of Florida are pretty aware of that. Clean water for all. Clean water for all. Reduce the runoff Pollutants from farms and ranches such as fertilizers, manure, and pesticides harm drinking water, kill fish, and trigger algae blooms. Now, before I delve more into that, let's talk about Republican candidate, Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. Now, as I had stated, Charlie Crist is an advocate for federally legalizing cannabis and expunging convictions. DeSantis claims that weed should remain illegal due to quote-unquote putrid odor, despite the fact that at least 64% of voters in Florida support the legalization of marijuana. Keep in mind, Charlie Crist, the Democrat, is at 43%. DeSantis is at 49%. That's upsetting. Why is that? Why are people in Florida conflicted on who to vote for? If this is what you support, and you have one candidate saying one thing and you have the other candidate saying the opposite, where's the confusion? I'm not really sure of that. This is what drives me and many others insane. According to one source, Ron DeSantis let 1 million COVID tests expire. He signed a bill ending vehicle driver liability for hitting protesters after he signed the anti-protesting bill outside of residence. That sounds to me like that's a green light for people to just basically that gives them the okay. It's a slippery slope for them to just run into a protester purposely and not take any responsibility for it whatsoever. Sounds a little crooked if you ask me. Why is this guy in the lead? I have no freaking idea. Corporations have reaped $5.7 billion from tax cuts, loopholes, and giveaways due to the Republican-controlled state Senate and state House, and signed by the governor, who was him. No surprise there. He permitted a massive $543 million in tax refunds for major corporations agreed to in 2018. Another tax refund took place in May of 2022, where some of the biggest corporations in the state of Florida had received a refund of $624 million. 60% of the voters in Florida support raising the minimum wage. DeSantis is against it. I'm not sure what's going on down there. I would hate to be living in Florida right about now. There's many other states that I'd hate to live in right about now, but Florida is definitely one of them. Here's another one. Here's something I actually just learned recently. The sugarcane industry is responsible for pollution that causes cancer and red tide. DeSantis, in 2018, when he debated Andrew Gillum on the stage, was quoted as saying, "I fought Big Sugar and lived to tell about it." Then, yeah, that's what he said in 2018. What he did in 2021 was something that actually is opposite to what he claimed he did in 2018. In 2021, he signed legislation shielding those same companies from legal actions surrounding the long-term healthcare problems caused by their burning fields. Afterwards, I'm sorry, not after, U.S. Sugar donated $350,000 to the Florida Republican Party during Ron DeSantis' election and during his tenure. Aside from that, he also received $20 million from Wall Street, $1,000 from the NRA. Sounds to me like this guy is deeply corrupt. It sounds like this guy is crooked. And while he is steady to call Trump an unfit moron, which has some truth to it, and it pains me and it ultimately upsets my stomach to know that I agree with Ron DeSantis on anything, even if it is something that's that low. That description, I would say, also fits Ron DeSantis. Now, keep in mind, this guy is the Republican frontrunner to be the nominee for president in 2024. If it's not him, it probably would be between like Ted Cruz or maybe like Mike Pence or Mike Pompeo. There's a video that I did on that in terms of who the Republican contenders were for President 2024. Now, here's another one that I learned recently that I felt that the news media and that television media didn't talk about. Actually, a lot of media sources didn't really talk about this enough, including a lot of the online ones. Ron DeSantis cut nursing care by 20%. Now, actually, I thought I had that one right up here. As a matter of fact, let me go back to it. I'm sorry, people. I know this is kind of... Here we go. According to AARP Florida, Governor DeSantis cuts care in nursing homes. This took place April of 2022, so that was April of earlier this year. AARP today released the following statement as Governor DeSantis signed House Bill 1239, a nursing home industry bill which cuts nursing care in homes by 20%. AARP Florida State Director Jeff Johnson said, "It's unconscionable and deeply disappointing to see Florida's governor sign legislation that will hurt nursing home residents. Unfortunately, the discrimination campaign fueled by the nursing home industry reached epic proportions and influenced not only the legislators who voted for this bill, but our governor as well. Make no mistake, these industry-backed cuts to nursing care in our nursing homes send a damning message to nursing home residents and their families. In the state with the highest population of adults, 65 plus in the nation, including one of the highest populations of 50 plus voters, the nursing home executives and operators behind this new law are safeguarding their profits at the boundless expense of the people entrusted to their care." So, people, and on top of that, by the way, Ron DeSantis, when he was debating Andrew Gillum, who, by the way, is a black man who was his Democratic opponent in 2018 for governor, when he joined the race, DeSantis was quoted as saying, "Let's not monkey things up." Now, some of you can choose to be ignorant enough and ignore the message that was within that statement. I think anybody with a tenth of a brain knows what he was really saying. Yes, he just called his black opponent a monkey. Yeah, I guess there's nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah, I guess because there's no history with comparing black folks to monkeys, apes, gorillas. Yeah, because we didn't see any comparison with that. Nobody said that about Obama or anybody else, so it's like, whatever. So, and also Andrew Gillum spoke in favor of extending care in nursing homes, and Ron DeSantis argued against that in the debate. Go back and watch the 2018 debate, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So this is what we're dealing with here, folks. So Democrat Charlie Crist versus Republican Ron DeSantis. Why DeSantis is still in the lead, I have no clue. Also, Ron DeSantis was one of the few Republican governors when COVID first came about and when it really peaked. He was one of the few that said that he didn't know that you can get it if you're asymptomatic. He also opened up beaches during that time. And there were tons and tons and tons of younger folks, mostly between the ages of like 18 to 25, or like people 18 in their 20s, who went there, and a lot of them contracted the COVID. Now, luckily, a lot of those people survived, but unfortunately, there was some who didn't survive. And a number of them were probably hospitalized, and some made it. So, people, is the state of Florida, my people, my friends in the state of Florida, people, independent voters, is this really what you want as governor? Charlie Crist could do better on certain positions, but I do believe that he is the right choice. He is the nominee. And it's up to Floridians to make the right decision. And as I said, the polls right now are 43 to 49, Crist 43, DeSantis 49. Hopefully those numbers will change in due time. We've seen polls numbers change pretty quickly. Go back and see the 2016 election. We'll see where this goes from here. So just giving you folks what's going on down there in Florida with the governor's race.